Wrestling Inc. Get up, get going. Happy Monday. I hope you are ready for some pro wrestling punditry. It is me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nicholas Thomas Hausman, joined here as I am every Monday to talk the news of the weekend. It's Michael Wiseman. Michael, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Thank you, Nick. It's good to see you this week. Last week we were combating the major. Oh yeah, well, John Cena, he's also here. You just nobody, obviously. Okay, last week combating the major outages of the world and the hackers and all that stuff. This year we're back. I mean, I know you did your show last week, but the Monday edition, we didn't have this.
No, we had Jimmy Corderas on last Monday, I believe, in your place, right?
No, you had him the previous Monday. Last Monday was the big outage YouTube. We could the audio only special edition on FS1.
That's right. I had completely mentally blocked that out because it gave me severe anxiety. That's right. That was not a fun morning. Actually, it was fun because I got to talk with you, but man, yeah, that was a crazy morning, dude. I'm so glad that didn't happen again today. I'm glad
we made it work.
Yeah, I'm glad we're getting to do a real show today, Michael. And I'm glad we're getting to do a real show here today because as we were missed several times last Monday in our audio-only edition, we did not have access to our comment section last week. We are back here with everybody today talking the news. I see a heated conversation already going on here regarding the leadoff story we'll get to here in the news about the fact that SmackDown and Rampage are going to be going head-to-head for about half an hour this Friday night. So if you want to jump on in, join that conversation. I will pull some of those comments over onto the screen here. We'll work it into the conversation as we go along. It's pretty easy, everybody. We're just going to have some fun. And if you like the show, thumbs up, emojis, anything like that, all that stuff goes into some kind of pile, and I imagine is good. There's a thumbs up. I think that's good for us if we get engagement.
The computers make it happen for us. We get better the more y'all get better, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And engage the iTunes page, too. We got a lot of nice comments on the iTunes page over the weekend, so go leave it over there. On Chartable, guys, we're like a top 50 pro wrestling podcast now. By the end of the year, I think we should do top 20 pro wrestling podcasts. We are more popular than other podcasts that I'm very impressed by, and that's all because of you all. So if you want this show to grow and shoot us up the charts, leave an iTunes review, 5-star comments. Always appreciated. All right. Hey, look at that. Brian Bills. Rockin' Rasta sign there. What is that? The Hang Loose sign? Rob Humphrey. Hey, guys. We have Sliceberg Slim. Hey, Nick and Mike. Happy Monday. Hey, thank you so much. What is that? What is that a photo of there?
Calculator?
Oh, it's like he's showing off a calculator. Okay, cool.
It's like all the money he's got. Sliceberg Slim there with the big bank accounts.
All right. Well, before we get to the news, before we get to our awesome interview for the day and the mailbag, we want to start off by sending our condolences out to the fans, friends, family, a veteran pro wrestler, referee, and championship belt designer, Reggie Parks. He passed away at the age of 87 following a battle with COVID-19. Our good friend of the show, Bill Apter, announced Parks' passing on Thursday night. WWE issued a statement the afternoon after paying tribute to him. Parks became suddenly ill last week, then passed away on Thursday morning in his home in Tucson, Arizona. He worked for the NWA, AWA, and WWE. He later worked as a referee for the WWE and then got into creating championship belts. He is the man responsible for the legendary Winged Eagle WWE title, the classic WWE Intercontinental title belt, several NWA belts, many others. Parks created designs for WWE, WCW, UFC, boxing promotions, among many others. He was known as the king of belts in the pro wrestling business, and he will be sorely missed. I mean, you can see it here over my shoulder. This is my child. Here, I'll take it down. I'll take it down. Oh, God. I'm going to destroy everything. Okay. This
podcast is going off the rails already.
All off the rails. Yeah, for those that are listening in audio form, you can't see this, but this is my childhood Winged Eagle championship belt that I've had since, I think there's a stamp inside of it. This is from 1998, and you can see it's pretty weathered. But a loss, man. His work is obviously very iconic, in my opinion.
We talk a lot about the wrestlers that hold the championships, and I think it feels like today's belts, they have a nice design, but belts from that era it's just freaking they're iconic for all the major reasons, the huge star power, the major ratings for pro wrestling. But when you see that championship belt, when you see the Winged Eagle, when you see the Intercontinental Championship belt from that era and how iconic that is, they mean something. And man, this man's work is legendary, and he definitely left his impact on the business, on the fans. A huge loss.
Yes. Again, sending our best out to everybody affected by that. And yeah, huge loss, man. And you're right, dude. There's no knock on the belts of today, but there's just like a classic aesthetic to the work that Reggie did. So anyway, we're about to get to the news. After the news, today's conversation, Pollo Del Mar, not Paul Pratt, Pollo Del Mar in the house today. A rather lengthy interview with the former Damian Sandow, a.k.a. Aaron Stevens. And it's a great conversation. That'll be available on the YouTube channel as well in about 53 minutes if you're watching us live in video form. And then at the end of the show for everybody, we're going to dive into the mailbag. We're going to look at Gable Steveson, some reported plans for him in WWE, big plans. But enough of that. Let's get to it here. News you can use, news that will leave a bruise. And we're going to start off, the big head-to-head that's going down this Friday, this week's special, supersized edition of SmackDown. Well, it's going to be on FS1. It's happening because of the MLB playoffs, so they won't be on Fox. According to the listing, the episode's going to be 2.5 hours long, which means that it's going to go head-to-head with the first 30 minutes of the live episode of Rampage, including CM Punk on it. I believe, is it him and Seidel? Or no, Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. What's the other big match they have here?
It is Punk is on this week's episode of Rampage.
So.
I had it up earlier.
They announced so many matches at a time. I lose track here sometimes. So the last 30 minutes of SmackDown that's going to air on FS1 head-to-head with Rampage, that's going to be commercial-free 30 minutes of air. Tony Khan took to Twitter and commented on the head saying, "I saw you're doing a half-hour head-to-head with us. I can't wait to finally beat your main show head-to-head. It's been a long time coming. See you next Friday on Rampage on AEW TNT." Now, Tony's had a few tweets since that tweet where he's kind of been not as upfront about thinking he's going to, maybe beat SmackDown. But, this is, I think, what a lot of fans have been waiting to see, right? This is AEW. They're going to put on a really strong Rampage. It's going to be live. They're going against arguably WWE's top show. How does it play out, Michael? What do you think is going to happen here?
Who knows? So here's the official card, as we were talking about earlier. CM Punk versus Matt Sydal. We have Ruby Soho versus the Bunny. And then the Inner Circle versus the Men of the Year. So they did stack this Friday's card. I think that's great. I like the fact that we're getting some fun matches. I mean, Punk Sydal is going to be a lot of fun in there. Women getting spotlighted and seeing Ruby Soho back out there who was connected with the audience is going to be great. But to your question, Nick, I'm worried about Dynamite's chances. I looked back at the ratings and we've seen SmackDown.
Are you saying?
I'm sorry. Yes. Yes. Okay. Rampage. That is the Rampage card. I apologize that I just gave you, but I am worried about Rampage's chances up against FS1's. It's interesting. Both of these, like, Dynamite got moved this week to Saturday. It's a weird week in pro wrestling, huh?
I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. This one for me could go either way. I think it's going to be way closer than people assume. I think that the AEW fan base is really loyal to AEW, right? Like, when you saw what happened when they went head-to-head with NXT, right? Like, they, retained everything. It was NXT that was on the drop, right? And then after the drop, they did even better, obviously, now. I think that, this is a play that AEW knows how to run. Tony Khan goes out, gets everybody all riled up, creates some kind of online fervor around whatever he's trying to get people excited about successfully. And then, Pied Piper style, I wonder if all these fans to maybe spite Vince to show their loyalty to AEW. I don't know how many people. This is the kind of circumstance, though, where I feel like AEW fans tend to show up and show out when they feel like their product is being threatened by Vince or try to be pushed around.
I don't disagree, but I think it's a difference in SmackDown, and SmackDown has loaded this week's card as well, announcing the return of Brock Lesnar, which they think kind of gives them TV numbers. We're building real heavily towards Crown Jewel and all the build there with the King of the Ring tournament and the Queen's Crown. I think there's a lot of things that WWE has done smartly to kind of, and you look back at historical ratings too, right? Typically, when SmackDown has transitioned to Fox Sports 1, they've still netted 1 million viewers on FS1 despite that. Whereas Rampage this week was not that highly rated. I think we dropped below 500,000 viewers for Rampage.
I saw the overnights. I don't know that those are the final viewership numbers yet. I don't know that the final viewership numbers for Friday night are even out yet.
Okay.
I know we got the overnights, and yeah, the overnights were low. I mean, it was very much lower. But again, we've seen that number fluctuate when the final numbers come in. So, take it for what it is, I guess is what I'm saying.
I love your optimism, and I am right there with you. And I think Tony Khan has already started poking the bear, as you pointed out. We're going to beat them, right? So I think that's the right approach. I'm just not convinced it'll happen. But hey, you know what? Either way, we talk a lot about ratings. It's just good that there is buzz out there that whether or not it is a reaction, SmackDown competing with Rampage gets people interested in Rampage. I'm excited. I love this Friday night Friday night delight with these two shows, and then Saturday Dynamite. It's going to be a fun weekend for pro wrestling.
Yeah, man, it is. And no Dynamite this Wednesday night. It's going to be weird. I don't know. I'm so used to Wednesday night wrestling, and now it's going to be a night off. I guess I'll go drive some golf balls or something. So, Dan,
what else am I going to do?
I don't know. Wrestling on. I guess I'll find something to do with my time. Daniel Price, a 30-minute overlap in airtime, doth not a head-to-head battle make. Wow, excellent use of the word doth, by the way. Khan's going to look really silly when SmackDown is near or at 2 million and Rampage goes down again. I just don't know, man. I think that this, is it good for both? I'm not really sure. Anytime that everybody's talking about it, everybody seems to do better. I don't know, except for NXT, but that was a booking decision on their part. So.
It's not good for WWE or AEW right now, as has been evident from the return of all these major sporting events. SmackDown's been doing pretty good in the ratings, comparatively speaking, as of late, but Dynamite's been down because of baseball, and we got, all these hockey coming back and all those things, which is competition, right? But not the same kind of competition as having two pro wrestling companies going at it. So it's never good to see a pro wrestling show moved off of their spotlighted network or even off of broadcast TV in the case of WWE here. But the fact that there is intrigue, typically in the past, WWE would take a Fox Sports 1 night and make it a night off, right? We're just going to phone it in. We're going to put in some matches there. While the fact that both of these shows feel like they need to up their game because they're out of their normal cadence, I think is a good sign. Brock Lesnar coming to Fox Sports 1, that's a good thing for pro wrestling fans.
Well, and it definitely is a sign of how seriously WWE is taking AEW at this point. It feels like the first, if this was War, right? Lord of the Rings, because that's what War is, I imagine, with it works and such.
That's the most realistic interpretation of War that we have here in 2021, right?
Yeah, exactly. That first wave gets breached, right? And then it's now they're in the house. I feel like that's what's happened here, right? They got past the NXT line, right? Now they're inside the walls of the castle. Now you gotta bring out the big guns, right? That big troll with the swinging wooden stick, right? You gotta get one of those. That's what SmackDown is.
They're the Battle of Helm's Deep, is what you're saying.
Sure. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings person. I have no idea why I decided to bring that into this. Yeah, Battle of Helm's Deep. That seems right. That seems accurate. Yeah.
But the thing about it, Nick, how can it be competition when Nick Khan has said their competition is sleep? They have blinders on. They don't look at anything but themselves. Come on, Nick.
Dave in the big troll is Otis. Come on now. Oh. He's not big enough to be the troll, right? It needs to be somebody even bigger. Maybe Odyssey Jones could be funny with the big stick over his head. That'd be fun.
That's Mr. Former Money in the Bank Otis big troll to you, okay? Let's get it right.
Yikes.
You reckon that we end up with somebody somebody's going to hear this podcast, a writer pitches to Vince. Vince, we got the perfect nickname for Otis, right? We got Otis the Big Troll, and Vince is like, yeah, I like it, the Big Troll. I think there's something there.
So I just kind of put a pin on this before we get into a little bit more AEW news and off the races with more WWE stuff. It's just good for everybody, right? This is exciting. It's exciting that there's wrestling that's competing. I saw somebody earlier point out, this is why we have DVRs now. Nobody's going to miss anything. You can enjoy all of your wrestling. And I like that I don't know exactly, attention-wise, viewership-wise, what's going to happen here. AEW, this is a time slot that their fans are used to at this point. It's destination programming for hardcore AEW fans. And you take that and you couple it with, a cup of, momentum there from old Tony Khan, yelling at the clouds over on Twitter about it. and that's when fans usually get spun up over at AEW land. So I think they'll over deliver expectations. That's my opinion.
Well, and the cool thing about it is too, by the way, if you don't have a DVR, you can always watch SmackDown the next day on Hulu. If you have access to Hulu, you can check things. There's a variety of ways for you to catch your favorite pro wrestling programming here in 2021. But what I like about this too is we're seeing a contrast in show styles, right? WWE right now building towards their tournament finales at Crown Jewel. So there's going to be some matches, but we're spotlighting stories on WWE, right? Brock Lesnar's return, right? They're building a very different kind of show over there. Tony Khan has said, here's our card. We're going to have 3 slamming matches to fill up that hour. If you want some pro wrestling action, you're going to get it with all the talent. And I think that's differing products. That's what's best for fans.
Well, we got one more AEW note here before we're going to get into a bunch of WWE news. So I figured I'd throw it in now. While we're talking AEW, the Observer saying the Young Bucks had a big hand in recommending and bringing Bobby Fish into AEW. The former NXT star made his debut, obviously, on Dynamite against Guevara, losing to Guevara in a pinfall loss via GTH. After the match, AEW officially welcomed Fish to the company. He's under a full-time deal. They waited to make the announcement as a way to frame the match's build as an outsider coming into AEW wanting a title shot, as opposed to just a regular talent offering up the challenge. Of course, Matt and Nick are also AEW EVPs, and the report noted it's fairly common for any of the EVPs to be involved in recruiting, signing new talent. At times, they're also involved in direct negotiations with possible incoming stars. Fish is set to have his second AEW match against, this is where it was. He's going to face Bryan Danielson on Saturday's AEW Dynamite, which is not the Rampage the night before. So that's where it was in my brain. That's why it was all clouded. I don't really have any major thoughts or revelations on this other than like the amount of updates from Meltzer about how much power the EVPs have is really something.
Only a few weeks after that report about how their power has been. Those two things aren't related, are they, Nick? Come on.
I think this is the 3rd or 4th time Dave Meltzer's reminded us that the EVPs have power backstage.
And I see the chat room's been talking about Tony Khan yelling at clouds. Speaking of old man yelling at clouds. Anyway, so I no, this is, but you know what? This is cool because Bobby Fish has been spotlighted in a variety of promotions. I like Bobby Fish a lot. This matchup with Daniel Bryan, though, Bobby Fish is a legitimate badass when it comes to kicking people. He did kickboxing. He broke a freaking guy's nose, right? This is going to be an awesome matchup and probably underrated. But it feels like to me, Bobby Fish has been underrated for a while, but he's a very talented mat technician. So I like that AEW is going to feature him in that kind of role. He's going to be getting other talent over, I think, is the end game here for him in AEW.
Yeah, Bobby Fish, he fits the mold for the kind of wrestler that AEW plays well with. And then, of course, you got all the Adam Cole stuff. And then, what's Kyle O'Reilly going to do in the future? That's a question I think a lot of people are asking right now. So, you start, he's a piece of the puzzle that works well for you. He's not a big money player like a Sting or a CM Punk. He's somebody that's going to do what you want and do it well. And so I absolutely see the value in the place for Bobby Fish and AEW. So good get for them. Then over on SmackDown land, a couple things came up. First of all, Sonya Deville, she revealed she's going to come back to in-ring action next week against Naomi. Any thoughts on that?
I think it's cool. I think it's a great way. I was sitting here wondering this week, when are we going to see Deville wrestle again? Because she's very good, and I love her in this role, but I want to see more of those women talented featured, especially with big names like Sonya Deville. Naomi's the perfect pairing. I think Naomi is a great talent, and this feels like a much bigger deal because of the way these women were spotted. They mentioned on Friday night, 2 times women champion Naomi. Apparently Beyonce and her child are a big fan of Naomi. So
I saw that, dude. That was crazy. Yeah.
I'm not saying that had anything to do with Friday night's booking. Maybe that came out this weekend, but I like it, and I think it's a good excuse to get Sonya Deville back in the ring.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Obviously, I think this is going to be great having Sonya back in the ring, and I'm glad it's going to give Naomi something to do as well. And yeah, I mean, after Beyonce, when Beyonce's putting over one of your wrestlers, I don't know, man. I would maybe get behind that wrestler. That's just me.
Well, I think Naomi's been in a weird spot for a while because she was on the main roster doing her thing while the women's revolution was happening in NXT, if I remember. And all these NXT stars came up, and Naomi had kind of felt like she was that next generation anyway. So I just, again, think that the more they can feature her, she's a huge star. More diversity is important. And I would love to see some future matchups. Her, Bianca. There's just so many places you can go with this.
Also on SmackDown, the show ended with Seth Rollins challenging, Edge challenging Seth Rollins to a Hell in a Cell match. It's now official. We're gonna see it go down at WWE Crown Jewel. The rich get richer. What an overstacked card this is going to be at Crown Jewel. Hey, it's Thursday at 2:00 in the afternoon that you're going to be watching some of these big bouts.
Wait, did they make that match for Crown Jewel? I missed this.
I believe it's Crown Jewel. Yeah, I could check it again here. I'm pretty sure I copy pasted this right from the old.
Oh man, I assumed they were building. I watched Friday Night SmackDown. Yes, you're right. Damn it.
Yeah, they announced it for Crown Jewel.
Damn it, you're right.
Why did you think there was an actual Hell in a Cell pay-per-view they were going to use this to build to? What do you think happened here?
Is there not a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view this year? Oh, it was.
You're going out to the sands of Saudi Arabia. Goldberg's going to murder Bobby Lashley. Hell in a Cell exists, right?
I forgot that pay-per-view already happened back in June. Damn pandemic.
Well, you know what? Of all of the feuds at WWE, at least this one makes sense for a Hell in a Cell bout. These men need to be trapped together. Rollins can't run away. I mean, it's going to be a great bout, and again, it makes sense. It's logical, right?
Well, that's why I was so excited. So often they do that Hell in a Cell pay-per-view is just here we have a Hell in a Cell as the gimmick match for the pay-per-view. And this, to your point, feels like a feud that's Hell in a Cell worthy. We don't get a ton of those. And I was like, finally, they're going to headline Hell in a Cell with a real personal feud. But you're right. Crown Jewel, let's put it out there. Lots of people are going to turn off this show anyway out of protest. And this is turning into a very stacked mid-afternoon pay-per-view with the two King and Queen's Crown tournaments. It's, yeah.
Also on SmackDown, we found the full brackets out for King of the Ring and for the Queen's Crown tournament as well. Here, I'll take this away. So this is the for those of you that can't see because you're a podcast form, I just brought up the brackets. We saw on SmackDown Rey Mysterio versus Sami Zayn. Well, that ended with Sami Zayn beating Rey Mysterio. And by the way, him putting the crown on his head with the cape, I mean, he looked like a Saudi prince. Am I the only one that thought he was making a Saudi joke there? Because I don't think they'll let him in the country or something like that.
With Sami Zayn, you never know. I hadn't thought about it that way, but totally see the mental image in the picture you saw. That's awesome.
Immediately noticed that. Immediately. So Sami went over Ray. Then we had Cesaro, Finn Balor. That was won by Finn Balor. I really thought Cesaro had a chance here, And
that was a banger of a match, too. If you missed it on Friday night, SmackDown's been delivering some high-quality wrestling. Cesaro, Finn definitely delivered.
And then on the other side, we have Kofi Kingston and Jinder Mahal. That'll happen on Raw. Xavier Woods, Ricochet. That'll happen on Raw. Setting up a potential Kofi Kingston versus Xavier Woods semifinal match.
I was super excited when I saw this. I was like, hey, I'm a big Jinder Mahal fan. I know nobody else in the world likes him, but I was like, let's get him out there. He would be a great heel king. But no, you're right. They're going to go with the but the respectful New Day versus New Day match here. Prediction, Nick, just jumping out there way ahead of you. We got Finn Balor as the next King of the Ring.
You think so? Because Sammy historically has not been allowed to go to Saudi Arabia, right? Unless they're really trying to do a huge PR thing here and we're no longer discriminating against Sami Zayn, then he can go. But I mean, it seems like a foregone conclusion for that reason alone that Sami Zayn is not going to beat Finn Balor here in the semifinals.
I think so. And I don't think they at this point want to make Kofi or Xavier a single star in that way since they have Big E kind of doing his thing. I think I agree with you. I thought Cesaro could have won Friday night. The fact they went with Finn, the fact that Finn was just main eventing a pay-per-view against Roman Reigns, I think they've got a lot of money and time invested in making Finn a big next star. And we've had lots of heel kings recently. I think Finn is a great babyface king to take the crown into the next year or so.
See, because I think you might get your wish of seeing Jinder Mahal in the finals here. Because I don't know. I mean, you can do Kofi Xavier, right? That's the tease out there. But if you're gonna do Finn Balor in the finals, you're gonna want Finn up against a heel, right? And the only definitive heel on that Raw side of the bracket here is Jinder Mahal. And I don't know. India is closer to Saudi Arabia than America. I don't know.
There's some logic to that. I mean, you joke, but that's the way WWE sees these things sometimes. Is very not to be rude, but foreigner versus American, right? And we're going to another country. They're a little bit broad about these things. Though, though I look at this card and I agree we'd want to have a heel versus a face, Finn versus Jinder. I could get behind that. But I think they like the buzz of Finn versus Kofi Kingston, two former world champions in this final. I think they would advertise the hell out of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, then let's go over here to the Queen's Crown, right? The Queen's Crown brackets. We have Toni Storm and Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega beating Toni Storm on SmackDown. I was surprised by that. I really was.
I have a theory. I have no idea which direction they're going to go with this entire card. But after the 9/11 outrage and the story that happened with Zelina Vega, with her, I wonder if this is a makeup, because they were putting her over real big on Friday night. And it's just, really good announcing from Pat and Michael Cole. But I think maybe we give Zelina a make good and we're going to spotlight you here.
I could see that. That's my mind was more of they just re-signed her. We saw on Friday the Twitch revenue numbers, and she was making $330K plus, right? Over on Twitch, maybe more than $500,000 when you put in all the tips and stuff. If they wanted her, is she still twitching? Does she twitch? I don't know what her Twitch deal.
I don't think she is anymore. I mean, yeah, her and Adam Cole were the big ones that I know. Adam Cole especially wanted to. Anyway, yeah, I don't think she is.
Okay. Anybody in the comment section, you're welcome to tell me what the status of Twitch is with Zelina Vega. But if they were going to have her move away from twitching, right? They got to offset that with the monetary difference, right? So you're talking probably a high 6-figure contract for Zelina Vega, maybe more. If you want to kind of take control of her third-party endeavors. And that's a big investment. When you make a big investment, somebody's going to want to make that money back,
Yeah. Well, I 100% agree. And I look at this card too. I look across the board here. The fact that there was a report out there that Liv Carmella was a last-minute decision, that Doudrop and Natalya, neither of them speak to me as where they would want to go with this opportunity. I mean, I could see Shayna Baszler winning the whole thing, right? But again, if my theory holds, we're going to have Finn on the King's side as a man babyface champion. A queen heel for the first Queen's Crown could be a really interesting story to tell. Zelina could match that.
Well, and I think so. I mean, is she a heel? Because like Liv Morgan, Carmella, that happened on SmackDown. Carmella won. I love the disco face mask, by the way, that Carmella's rocking right now. She looks like an absolute nightmare. But yeah, Carmella defeated Liv Morgan. It was I pulled up my run sheet here. I'm just trying to see who said what now. It was from Fightful that was that match was originally going to, it sounds like, see Liv Morgan win, but then Carmella ultimately won, and there's a lot of frustration right now backstage at WWE about how exactly the women are being pushed right now. But you're doing Carmella, Zelina Vega in the semis. Carmella ain't going to get the babyface pop there. Zelina Vega is going to get that pop. I don't know that Zelina is like, I mean, is she I don't know what she is right now.
Type in whatever audience noise you want, and she's whoever you want her to be. I will say this. Carmella could be interesting too. I've always liked Carmella. This is giving her something. They love gimmicks. They love face masks. So maybe they go with Carmella.
Well, like you said, on the other side, on the Raw side, Doudrop Natalya, that'll be on Monday night, I'm guessing. Dana Brooke, Shayna Baszler, that'll be on Monday night, I'm guessing. I see Dino Garofalo here saying, I hope I'm wrong, but after Corey Graves buried Brooke on TV, they are building to her winning this to prove herself.
They do love an underdog story.
Sure. I mean, yeah, just kind of doing the math here. Let's see. I think Doudrop beats Natalya. That seems like a foregone conclusion. That sets up her and Shayna Baszler. I think Baszler as the Queen of Spades is maybe my favorite pick of all of these, and you'd get your heel queen. So, yeah, I'm going to go Shayna Baszler in the end here with this one.
Okay. Here's what I want to say as a pro, though. I'm a very positive person, trying to be upbeat. I appreciate that WWE is taking the time to build this tournament over a few weeks on Raw and SmackDown, giving fans an organic reason to tune in, not a Legends night, right? I appreciate the fact that Seth Rollins' Edge has been a multi-month story with all these kind of divots and turns, and Seth Rollins showing up to Edge's house and great promo work on both sides. I appreciate that the Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar stuff is being dragged out. WWE has seen challenges come its way from AEW, and they have rededicated themselves to putting a little bit more nuance to their storytelling. And as a viewer, it makes week-to-week television so much more impactful. No pun intended.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on here, talking about Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns going down to Crown Jewel. The Observer saying there's plans for another match. It is set to headline Crown Jewel, but this is not a one and done. It's been rumored for WrestleMania 38 in 2022, along with The Rock versus Reigns. So it's possible that the Crown Jewel match builds to a Lesnar-Reigns rematch in April. It seems likely that Reigns will keep the Universal title at Crown Jewel, but WWE could go with a Lesnar title win or some sort of disputed decision to build to the rematch at WrestleMania 38 in Dallas. They can also keep the feud alive with Paul Heyman, with the Paul Heyman angle as a storyline is written to tease that Heyman could be working as a double agent so that you don't know who he will end up siding with when the time comes. I would be kind of surprised if Paul Heyman does not cost Roman Reigns this title at Crown Jewel. That seems to be where this is headed.
Couple of things behind that. It would be a great way to bring back up the Big Show Brock Lesnar feud from 20 years ago and play some old SmackDown clips of Paul Heyman being a turncoat, that dastardly bastard. Whoops, my bad. It would be also, bastardly dastard.
It's good.
We look at Brock Lesnar here. Brock Lesnar is fine without Paul Heyman, but he's a little bit incomplete. We know his mic work is not always up to snuff. No, this dude could squash my head. I'm not criticizing. I'm being super nitpicky here. Paul Heyman makes him a better whatever. And right. Roman Reigns can stand on his own. So I think that's where we go. And you've got to have some kind of pivot. If the belt comes off of Reigns, there's got to be a reason for it other than he just lost cleanly. And I think Paul Heyman could very well be that reason. But I don't think they wait till WrestleMania, Nick. They got to do it at Survivor Series, right?
I don't know. Like, Brock could just take this title and just go chop wood and, like, challenge people to take the title from him and not do anything and, be the champion for a while. I mean, they've done that. I'm trying to remember what it was, but for a while there, I feel like it was the secondary title was like the top title on SmackDown. I'm trying to remember what was going on.
It was also for a while when John Cena had the Open United States Championship every week and Brock Lesnar was away. John Cena U.S. title was freaking hot, man.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anything could happen. And yeah, Dave in here saying title change at Crown Jewel. You think? Yeah. I mean, I think we might see a both change hands, honestly.
One pushback that could, on Friday night, they were building up how Roman Reigns has been on this record long title reign. And the only person that's had a longer one with the Universal title has been Brock Lesnar. I could see them wanting to extend Reigns' title reign to eventually beat Lesnar because that's where they see him now as the biggest star in the entire company. So,
well, see, and here's the thing is like Lesnar can take the title off of Reigns, right? Sure. And then Drew can take the title off of, is it him and Lashley?
Yes.
Okay.
No. It's Drew and Big E.
Big E.
Oh, Lashley's facing Goldberg.
That's right. Okay. So you can have Drew beat Big E. You can have Lesnar beat Roman. You can have Brock take the Raw title or take the Universal title to Raw. You can have Drew take the World title to SmackDown. And then you have Brock as champion over on Raw away from Roman Reigns, who feuds with Drew. And hypothetically, now that I'm playing this out in my head, you could have Roman take the title off of Drew, setting up a title versus title match at WrestleMania.
A unification match?
Yeah.
Man, I have so many issues if they pull the title off of Big E this early. I love Drew, but and you're right. The free agency thing adds a wrinkle. We don't know how that's going to play out. A lot of different directions.
Yeah, Christopher Strikeleather here. Maybe since Brock is a free agent, maybe he loses to Roman, then he could go to Raw, feud with Lashley. I because he's a free agent, I think he's going to beat Roman and get drafted to Raw because Raw might lose their title. And
I also think that he's got to end up on Raw just from a business standpoint to keep the execs at, Universal happy right now. While Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, they see as the two biggest stars, you got to split them up to make both your parents happy, right?
Well, Daniel Price, you're saying there's one problem. Lesnar can't cut promos worth of crap. That means he needs Heyman. He's going to be around a while. And I agree. I think Heyman maybe goes with Brock over to Raw after costing Roman Reigns this title, probably for fear of his life. And then Roman Reigns off the chain, nobody holding him back on a quest to take back his championship. I've been waiting for a wrinkle like that with Roman because, like, I think we've kind of in some ways, I don't want to say stale or stagnant because he's still a very compelling character, but we're starting to see the same kind of thing over and over again with Roman. And I feel like it's time for a twist there.
Yeah. I mean, he's investigating Paul Heyman, but where do you go? I mean, if he wins at Crown Jewel, where do you go from here with Roman Reigns? That's the question. Because who's bigger than Brock Lesnar?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And that's the thing is if you have Reigns go over Brock Lesnar, and I guess then that would mean Big E would go over Drew McIntyre to keep the titles, on the different brands. I just don't know. I feel like it's Saudi, and I feel like they want to do something big, and I feel like that's why we've got these 2 title matches where each match has a guy who's floating from one brand to the other.
The only thing I could speculate, Nick, is Reigns retains. There is a twist or a turn, or maybe he. Yeah, is The Rock still in contention for WrestleMania? I heard he wasn't, but do you have any?
I don't think he is. I don't know what they're. I don't think he's going to be in Dallas. I think they wait for Hollywood the year after WrestleMania 39.
Okay.
I also think he's got some filming stuff coming up here that's going to make it tough for him to do Mania. So anyway, all right. Well, quick update here about Scarlett Table Talk, hosted by Devon Dudley. And by the way, I know Devon broke a lot of news about how him and Bully aren't working together anymore, but they're still totally friends. You can go find those highlights over on the website right now, WrestlingInc.com. Karrion Kross on the episode, he gave an update on where Scarlett has been, saying, "This is what I could say without being deliberately cryptic. We are waiting for something to finish taking its course. She's very good, and she's been training like a maniac, like she always does. You can expect to see her anytime or any place." So that doesn't sound like a pregnancy announcement, but it is deliberately cryptic. You failed. We have no idea what that means.
Waiting for something to finish its course. I mean, I don't want to go there, but is it a COVID diagnosis? And
I don't know.
Speculation. I had know nothing about this.
Anyway, I just wanted to put it up there because it did a ton of traffic over the weekend. And there it is, your deliberately cryptic note from about Scarlett from Karrion Kross.
All I'm saying is at least he's got that mask and all that gear and the shoulder strap, so we can merchandise the hell out of him.
There's more quotes. There's more quotes from Kross on the site too, where he kind of talks about the gladiator look. And when you read him explain it, it actually doesn't sound terrible. He's like, look, I was doing the gladiator thing down in NXT. I'm going to the big show. They want to take this idea. They want to make it something bigger, right? They want to blow out this gladiator concept that I came up with, and this is what we got. And, you hear him kind of lay it out. Okay, that seems to make sense. But then you see the finished product, and you're like,
Well, then you think about it, Nick, too. And then WWE is helping produce a new version of American Gladiators, and we got a gladiator. And look at this, man, the synergy between the two shows.
Little crossover.
A Karrion crossover. Oh.
All right, we got some news here. This is
I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's good. I applaud you. Here, I'll give you
a thumbs up in the chat.
Cowbell. So this next story here has a lot of different moving pieces. I'll start with this. MLW, this is all from Fightful, except for one note, but Fightful reporting, MLW had a deal in the works with the Tubi streaming service, which is owned by Fox. Now, word is the deal was to be announced publicly in August, but WWE learned of it beforehand, and a source close to Fox revealed that WWE did not respond favorably to the deal, which was to be announced imminently after WWE was made aware. Due to WWE's response, the future of the MLW Tubi deal was put into question. The report stated that WWE Fox nixed the MLW Tubi streaming deal. When asked for comment on the story, WWE and MLW did not respond. Fox declined to comment, and at one time, MLW had archived content on Tubi, but it appears that it is no longer on the service. So first, we'll take this bit by bit. Any thoughts on WWE tanking MLW's Tubi deal?
No major thoughts on it. It sucks, but no major thoughts on
it. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I would love to see how Vince reacted when they were like, no, we're not gonna do this. And I also wonder too about the MLW WWE relationship stuff that they were talking about. This doesn't seem like something that you would do, to somebody you want to be doing business with.
I guess, but also it's Tubi. Like, no offense, but any competition is not good, but it's freaking Tubi WWE. Like, what is nobody watches Tubi.
Gotta protect that Tubi, right? But Vince got confused. He thought it was what was that? What was their platform that they did short videos with?
Tout.
They thought it was a tout. All right. So it's been reported that Fox wasn't happy with NBC Universal's Peacock streaming service being promoted on their network during WWE programming. When reaching out to a WWE source in regards to Fox not being happy about Peacock promotion, it was noted that had Fox wanted to pay for the rights to WWE pay-per-views to turn the tables, they could have bid for them to air on Fox's Tubi platform. Fox sources reiterated that while there were some in the company who likely share that same frustration, they were happy to help promote major events on Fox platforms because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So while it appears that there is at least some coexistence between NBC's Peacock and USA, it was noted by the Matmen podcast that Peacock did not allow Fox or USA Network social media teams to post videos from SummerSlam. Instead, they were limited to just using GIFs, which I would get for Fox. Why not? Why not let your own social team
Right.
video out?
Like that's an advantage. We own Peacock. We get full. It's like when they used to do the Raws, right? And you would have you couldn't see the video clips. They would just show the stagnant pictures with the audio spliced over the pay-per-views from the night before, right?
Yeah. So on a related note, a source at Peacock noted that WWE's performance on the streaming service appears to be exceptional, with more eyes landing on WWE pay-per-view events than ever before. It was also said that the relationship between the two sides seems good. There's been strong criticism within WWE over how the Peacock platform that they moved to is less polished and less user-friendly than the network, the WWE network that they moved from was. There was significant resources put into hiring staffers to optimize SEO for the WWE network. But word is that the policies for network content would change from day to day. And by the time the WWE network ended in the United States, it still wasn't fully optimized. And that is all the news on streaming platforms WWE, NBC, Fox, MLW, Tubi, and Peacock.
It's been your streaming minute here on the Wrestling Daily. And it doesn't surprise me with what you hear about creative that they would struggle to manage their own network and how to promote it, because it does seem like, again, they shoot from the hip. To be a corporate organization, they shoot from a hip on a lot of things, right? But I just find this conversation about Fox being here and what say they have, because Fox Friday Night SmackDown is a higher rated show every week than Monday Night Raw and USA, but that Monday Night Raw USA Peacock deal is all together. And it makes you wonder, like, this is great for WWE. They're making the money. They're getting more viewers on their product. I think all that's good. The streaming platform woes, we all had those. They're growing up. It'll get better. It's already gotten better, right? But back in the day when the brand split first happened, both originally and then more recently, they had two separate pay-per-views. And Fox has been out there promoting their boxing match this weekend on Friday Night SmackDown on their pay-per-view platform. If you had a Friday Night SmackDown pay-per-view on Fox's platform and you had Peacock and their WWE pay-per-views, just fantasy businessing here, I guess, but that'd be a way to go about this and make both parties happy. But in the meantime, Fox is kind of stuck here, right? Because like y'all get the pay-per-views and Monday Night Raw, and we just get the Friday Night SmackDown.
Yeah, what a balancing act. All right, lastly here, before we get to Aaron Stevens, and then we'll dive into the mailbag. We'll talk about Gable Stevens here to wrap it up in just a little bit. This one was interesting. A lot of traffic. Riddle's wife called him out over the weekend. So on Saturday, RK Bro defeated AJ Styles and Omos at Save Mart Center in Fresno, California. On Sunday, the champions were once again victorious at Mechanics Bank Arena in Bakersfield, California. Earlier on Sunday, Riddle tweeted out that he was living his best life, tagging with his best bro, along with a picture of him and Randy Orton during their match. Responding to the tweet, his wife, Lisa Riddle, seemingly put her husband on blast by questioning his commitment to their family, tweeting, "You would say that now that you packed up and moved to Orlando away from your children." Now, it's unclear if she was being sarcastic, didn't read that way, but she then deleted her tweet quickly. Very unfortunate public drama spilling over there. And you know what's crazy about Matt Riddle is there's there's kind of a lot of stuff kind of hanging around him. I feel like that's not great, but the guy is undeniably over. Like, you go to a WWE show, the amount of RK Bro shirts I see, the signs, the pop. This guy is weathering a storm here right now, and I don't know. I feel very bad if his wife and his children are as unhappy as it would seem that they're husband, father is no longer around at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, he is. You're right. And I was one of the first ones to criticize the way they were using him on the main roster. Egg on my face because he's made it work and the fans have responded. So good for him. This is a weird one because I saw this last night and I was just kind of looking back at his tweet history and her tweet history. And even like back in August, she was tweeting about these family vacations and family photos. And so it's really hard to say. It does feel like a reactionary thing from her. And I don't know that it felt very joking.
No.
So I don't want to read too much into this. But also he moved to Orlando after being called up to the main roster. Like when he was in NXT, that would have made a lot of sense. So it's very strange to me, but this is the life of a WWE wrestler. They're on the road every week, lots and lots and lots of weeks of the year. A lot of time away from family. It's a very big change up from what he was doing when he was on NXT, and he could be home a lot more.
Michael, thank you for joining me at Top Show Talk, all the news of the day. Thank you to everybody for jumping into the comment section. And thank you, of course, to Aaron Stevens and Polio Del Mar for that fantastic conversation. It'll debut in video form in 13 minutes over on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. And if you're listening to us in audio form, it's already out. So go watch it. Go take it in. Enjoy it. And that'll bring us into the mailbag here today. Today's mailbag question, like all of the mailbag questions, comes to us from @WinkDaily, WINC Daily over on Twitter. We're now at 1,301 followers. We've crested 1,300. We're on our way to spooky 1,666 followers by Halloween. We're getting a little tight on time. We have about 20 days to tag on 30 followers or 300 followers. But you know what? I think we can do it. So do your spooky service and go follow us over on Twitter at WINC Daily. And I saw, by the way, I think it was Gary Lyle, like this a while ago. This is way high up. Let me see if I can find it. Probably not. You guys have been blowing me up here today with all these chats, which is great. I have no problems with it. But here, what did he say? I missed it. Anyway, he said, I finally understood what Nick is saying with the wink sign off. Like if you winked, you didn't miss it. It's WINC. I guess some people maybe have not figured out, right, what exactly I'm saying there. It's a play on words, right?
Johnny come lately over here. Come on now. Come on.
When I got hired, and I was talking with Raj about different initiatives. I was like, I want to call it the Wink Daily. We should play around with that word wink more. We're wink, right? Like you're winking at stuff. Like you winked, you missed it. I don't know the Raj got. He's okay. Well, that's fine. Nick.
Just so he's like, yeah, cool. We'll do it. You do you.
Because you do you, Nick. Yeah, exactly. But like that's the thing. It's like in building your brand, you don't want people to say I'm going to order food. You want people to say I'm going to Grubhub it, right?
Yep. I'm going to Google something. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We're going to, if you winked, you did, whatever. You all get it. It's not fully fleshed out even 3 years in, but we're getting there. Okay. Is what I'm saying.
I still miss the Winkly. Like I still called it the Winkly for like 6 months into the Wink Daily rename. So,
I do. Well, that's the thing is I was like, we'll call it, it's the Winkly, right? Because we'll put the word wink in it, right? Wink, wink, everything. So
wink, wink, everything. If we had podcast names for every episode, that's what this one would be called.
Wink, wink, don't tell me. So we have our poll question.
So funny.
Thank you. Wink, wink, don't tell me. I'm pretty proud of that, actually. That might become something. We might do a game show now.
A weekly game show? Pro wrestling? Yes.
Wink, wink, don't tell me. Do you think every Monday we wink?
Well, it's like news. There are always newsworthy topics on Wait, Don't Tell Me, right? So like it's like what's buzzy news stuff?
Yeah. I'm all about it. Hey,
this is organic. We're doing this in the moment. Let's do it.
Because the thing, Michael, is I constantly say I have way too much time on my hands. I really wish I could. I wish I could find more to do. You know what? Why don't I make a game show segment every week for the Wrestling Inc. Daily? Wink, wink. Don't tell me.
Oh, it's a whole separate podcast now that you're going to promote on Twitter and find guests for and everything else.
Yeah. So we have our poll question today comes from the following report from the Wrestling Observer saying WWE wants to feature Gable Steveson on TV throughout the next several months and then have him start as a regular TV talent after the college wrestling season ends in March. The idea would then be to give Gable a debut at WrestleMania 38 in April, which brings us to our question here today. Who would you like to see Gable Steveson make his in-ring debut against next year at WrestleMania? I tried to pick some top heels that I thought he could maybe work with. Seth Rollins, Happy Corbin, Bobby Lashley, or is it somebody else? About 200 votes here in the last hour. 35.9% say Bobby Lashley. 28.8% Seth Rollins. Oh, they're moving around. We got even more votes coming in here. 20.3% Happy Corbin, and then 15.5% say somebody else. Who would you like to see Gable Stevenson make his in-ring debut against?
I love the poll options here. So at first blush, I went out there and I said, listen, Seth Rollins, based on what you gave me here, is a great pick. I like Lashley. I like the amateur background comparison there. But I think Seth Rollins, like WWE style, big name, he's willing to do jobs for other people, could be a big matchup for him.
Yeah. I like Lashley a lot. I think Karrion Kross would even be good. You know, I brought that up earlier this week. I didn't put him on the list because I didn't think it would do that well just because of like how Kross is being pushed right now, but I know he would work really well. Happy Corbin is interesting to me just because like he was Kurt Angle's last opponent and this guy's supposed to be like the second coming of Kurt Angle. I could see maybe, you know, him playing into that. I actually don't hate Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. I mean, it's still early. It's like a novelty. I could see where it has room to grow. You're already nodding your head like, I hate this.
I love Happy Corbin, and I think that they've overemphasized the laughter part, and Madcap Moss has lots of energy, but I think we've become too gimmicky with Happy Corbin, but that's a conversation for another day.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, I don't hate it. You know, Baron, you know, you look back on how bland Baron Corbin was for so long, right?
That's true.
At least he's got some character now.
And he embraces everything. We talked about earlier, Matt Riddle getting over with maybe a kind of a weird gimmick when they brought him up. Same thing here. Corbin makes it work for him, and that's kudos to him. That's talent.
I'll read some Twitter replies here, and then we'll read some stuff in the chat room. The Buscat at the Buscat, start with Chad Gable, then Shelton Benjamin, then have him go over Brock. All the guys from the University of Minnesota, which is where he's going to school right now. I don't hate that at all. And I saw a couple people write in Shelton Benjamin.
And Benjamin can go too. Like that could be a fun little, I like it.
We got a bunch of guys for Chad Gable, a bunch of write-ins here. You know, I think a lot of people are rooting for Gable, but I don't see him getting pushed up beyond this like tag team thing that he's doing with Otis anytime soon. I think they've kind of slotted him for the time being.
I don't think WWE sees him as a single star enough to put him up against Stevenson.
We have at Barrow Sama 93, Dolph Ziggler. At Binge 94, Goldberg. Come on now. Come on.
His other match. He's got one more match in the can.
And then let's see. We got some write-ins here. Dave N, Tony D'Angelo. Tony, we want Tony to humble him. I don't know where we'll be by WrestleMania season, but like I've come to the conclusion that some kind of Tony D'Angelo versus Hook match might blow up the internet wrestling community. There just is a weird following for both of those guys right now.
I got one more option, although at you, Nick, not on your list there, but Keith Bearcat Lee. I hate the Bearcat nickname, but Keith Lee can go in the ring. It would feel like a big match. You got to build up Keith a little bit before you get there, but that would be a fun one to watch.
Was that from the Twitter? I didn't see it on the Twitter.
No, made it up.
Okay, got it. Wonderful.
I'm on Twitter at the Real Wiseman, so follow me there.
Antonio Garcia, Kevin Owens is my pick, or Chad Gable. Melissa here saying the new gold medalist could be the next Kurt Angle if he's trained right. That's kind of seems to be their hope, right? And Dave in
they're going to train him like shit. Let's get him out there.
Dave in here saying I'd pay $300 to see Tony versus.
Man.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up there. It was a great moment there. All right, everybody. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow. We're gonna have a mystery interview on the show. EJ Cameron, I believe, will finally be back. We've had 2 weird Mondays with Michael. EJ has been out taking professional bookings, as he is probably going to be very famous on SNL in the next year or so. So let's enjoy EJ while we can. He'll be back tomorrow talking the news with me. And big mystery interview for tomorrow's show. Also, supportwrestlinginc.com. We're on all the socials and the Wrestling Inc. podcast. It's a lot like this, only at night, after all the big shows, including tonight after Monday Night Raw. So tune into that. Different faces, different punting, and available on all podcast platforms, just like the Wrestling Inc. Daily. Go give it a subscribe. Michael, what do you want to put over here to wrap up the show today?
Nothing. I already got my shit in earlier, as they say. So, you know what? I'm just going to say thanks, Nick. I enjoyed the show. We keep it weird here on the Mondays, which I enjoyed. The Wink Daily Mondays. So I guess I'll catch y'all next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I am at Nick_Hausman over on Twitter. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Support Pro Wrestling for Life. And remember, and for some of you, maybe this is the first time you understand why I say this at the end of the show, but that's fine. Remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it. And tweet Raj about how much you like that particular line. All right, goodbye.